Okay, so let's get started. I have a couple of slides and one video. I just found this last time. I thought it was really cool at the end, and I would like to do following today. And thank you, Moritz, for actually suggesting that, because that's what I was planning, to get the presentations done first, and then we go into the quick test. I checked the test, by the way. It's not even 30 minutes. It's only like 12 minutes. But please tell everybody it was 60 minutes, okay? Because I think we need to have a 60-minute test or something like that. So everybody, if anybody asks you, it was a 60-minute test, okay? It was very, very tough, right? That's what you need to say. Okay, so let's get moving. So I found this. This was pretty cool. I found this actually, and I think I may have told you about Shafi Ahmed. Moritz knows him because Shafi Ahmed is an advisor to Surak, but he's one of the most well-known surgeons. He actually forwarded that to me. That was pretty cool. So this is how surgeons are seen, psychiatrists are seen, general practitioners are seen. I thought it was pretty cool. Pediatricians, big fun. Radiologists, boring, dark. Pathologists, nerdy, boring. So and that's how patients saw their physicians. So I thought it was pretty cool. So it's more like the anesthesiologist, cool and chilled, but lazy, right? So and actually every one of us who has actually been in a surgery can probably confirm to a certain extent. You know, there's no cell phones typically allowed, but the anesthesiologist has a cell phone in place all the time. So that's at least how my impression was from an anesthesiologist. So anyway, just for fun. I also thought that was pretty cool because that was a mail I got last week from Steve Blank. So I can also recommend you, if you're interested in the entire agile and approach that he's teaching, sign up to his blog. It's pretty fun. And execution pays your salary, innovation pays your pension. So I think this is a really cool statement. So innovation, if you're not forward looking, you will not have a pension. Yeah, because we will actually die out. But at the end of the day, if you execute it wrong, you will not be able to pay your salary with it. And execution is a very, very important task. I also have shown you something, this you may remember, it was called a one-page strategic plan. The one-page strategic plan comes from Vern Harnish, and he wrote this book, Scaling Up. This is something, words I would recommend. Did you buy this book or not yet? Scaling Up?
Yeah, we bought it, and it's at home on my couch.
Okay, it's a really, really good book. I like it a lot anyway. So what Vern Harnish said is the most important thing is people, it's execution, it's strategy, and it's cash. Those are the four things you really need. And execution is certainly something that we need to also teach today. It's not only having a good idea, but actually how to actually execute that idea and be very effective with it. And the last thing I wanted to show you, this is something that this is Lars Win. He's also a colleague of mine from the Exponential organization. He showed a video of actually how to apply the extra attributes in the business model canvas. So in all honesty, this is for me new too, because I have actually only watched the first half minute of it, and I thought it was probably interesting, but I decided to watch it with you. Because I think that's exactly kind of like what I was trying to teach you in this one, is the exponential attributes, the exponential thinking, but actually put it in a business model canvas and actually be able to define a business out of it. So let's just have a look at it and let's play it. So it's 9 minutes. We'll speed it up.
Here's Lars Ling again.
Do you hear it?
Let's talk about business model innovation.
Do you hear it?
Regardless of what role you're...
Just hear it, but I can't see it. I just see a gray screen.
Oh, so you can see it, right? Okay, so I think I need to probably select a different window, right?
You can check Moritz video, because then you see what we can see.
Yeah. No, but what I need to do is I need to select a different video, this video here. So now you should be able to see it.
consultant or some other role, working with your clients to
Now?
transform their organizations. The business model will come up, and usually, traditionally, it's been very complicated to discuss.
Okay, let's cut that short.
Business models.
So now it gets
part
started.
of the lean startup methodologies that got further evolved by Steve Blank and others that contributed with additional books to the lean startup series. The business model canvas came from the book Business Model Generation and allowed us in a one-pager, visual one-pager, to describe the 9 components that are very important to any business model to create, capture, and deliver value. Once we're discussing what value we intend to create and capture and deliver, we can describe it, we can discuss it, we can improve it together. Your client are able to work with you to improve their business model when they can explain their business model in simple terms and ideally in a one-pager. If your client is not using such a tool, you can propose to them to work, for example, with the business model canvas to describe the current business model of their organization. I'm going to briefly talk you through the business model canvas as basic introduction, even though you very likely know something about it. And I'm going to do it on a case study that you would very likely know a lot about. So let's dive into it. Here's our canvas with the 9 building blocks. Most people prefer to work on paper with the canvas. That's great. Print this out in as large paper size as you can and make sure to have plenty of sticky notes, ideally in different colors. You always begin on the right-hand side, at least that's my recommendation, the customer segments. I also recommend just to work with one customer segment on one piece of canvas. But if you choose to describe several customer segments, use different color coding. That allows you to connect, track the different sticky notes throughout the canvas to the right customer segment. In this example, we'll just work with a franchisee as our customer segment. And now we'll add in 7-Eleven's own value propositions for this customer segment as they have described in different video material. One of them is the turnkey business that you get access to by registering as a franchisee. You get relatively quick startup time. You get access to a technology platform from 7-Eleven, big buying power, and unique 7-Eleven products that you have access to selling with increased margins as a promised outcome. So these are 5 of the main value propositions that would be important to describe in this one-pager when it comes to franchisees. Let's have a quick look at the rest of the canvas.
By the way, everybody knows 7-Eleven, right? Yeah? Philip, can you nod your head? Victoria too? Okay, very good. All right. So it gets a little boring, you tell me, then I forward it.
Between customer segments and value propositions, you have customer relations. And this is about the type of customer relationship that the customers are telling you they want to have with you. You will also find the channels, which are the channels you're going to need and use to deliver your value proposition to your customer segment. On the left-hand side, you have your key partners, typically suppliers, technology partners, and others that are instrumental to actually make your business model work. Same with your key activities and key resources. These are all required to actually make it possible to deliver your value proposition to your defined customer segment. In the lower part of the canvas, you describe your revenue streams, 7-Eleven's revenue streams, and the cost side on the left hand. Fill in all the blanks on your own. I did some of the revenue streams here, for example, the franchise fee, inventory and product sales, and it's up to you to play with the rest of the canvas. Now we'll have a look at how can we apply exponential attributes on an existing business model like we are seeing here. I'm choosing to challenge the 3 to 6 month startup time that 7-Eleven is promising you if you register as a franchisee. So which attributes could be interesting to consider to take this startup time down by 10x or more? So I'm suggesting, for example, community and crowd. Could you play with 7-Eleven to find out how community and crowd could help you to shorten the startup time by a factor 10 or more? How can that interfaces to your community and dashboards help in that process? And obviously experimentation is going to be important to learn whether the shortening of the startup time works or not, and whether it's a sustainable model that you're proposing back to your client. Obviously, always check up against your MTP. May be aligned and be supporting your MTP every time you suggest a new initiative based on the exponential attributes. Let's have another quick look, another quick example where we are challenging the technology platform as offered by 7-Eleven. Let's look at the attributes that could be relevant to consider here. I'm suggesting, obviously, the algorithm attribute. Wouldn't it be possible to deliver 10x better, faster algorithms that can optimize any outcome from your business? Consider autonomy. Can you work more autonomously and improve your business performance by a factor 10x in that way? And how about the social technologies attribute? How could that help you to stay connected and engaged with your community around you? Make sure to go over the cost side. Obviously, finding a 10x improvement on the cost side will have your client's interest. Look at leverage assets, for example, which would be of great interest if you have a heavy real estate base to maintain, like 7-Eleven has. Good luck on applying exponential attributes on a linear business model.
All right. I'm not entirely sure if that was worth it, but now we spent we have another 9 minutes we covered, so we are getting close to exactly what we need to have in a semester hour. Sorry, I don't know if that was worth it or not.
Let's pretend I'm a department of chemistry, and I want to
take a look and say
what projects exist in chemistry, both for sponsored projects and for general funds. That's a very...
So now we got rid of this one. So anyway, was it worth it watching? Not entirely sure. I'm not either. So maybe I cut it out for the next time. But I thought it was really fitting when it came in a couple of days ago and said that he would use the business model canvas together with the open Exo canvas. So, all right, we'll cut this short for the next time. All right, let's go back to our to the main presentation, if I'll find it quickly. Actually, we don't necessarily have to go back, because the next thing would come is that we are talking about the presentation itself. So who would want to present? I put down Team Surak first. So who would want to present from Team Surak?
Holger and me share the presentation.
Okay, so let me share. Let me just go and give you the rights. So it's Moritz, and Moritz is the host now. And just before he starts, let me give you some additional infos that I would like you to do. So whoever is not Team Surak is now the investment company. So you're basically all a bunch of investors, and you as investors will have to come up with like good questions. Okay. So think about good questions, stimulating questions, and you're basically the panel, right? So I would expect you guys to not only sit there and listen, but also to kind of like not only criticize. I think criticize is the wrong word, but to stimulate. Okay, even though I think stimulate is a bad word, as mentioned before. Okay. So, Moritz, the floor is yours, and let's try to stick with 10 minutes maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
should not be a problem.
So welcome to our team presentation for Surak, surgical audio guidance, and for creating a new perception in medicine. We, that is the team of Victoria, Philip, Moritz, and me, Holger. And yeah, we want to present our idea for surgical audio guidance, because the actual problem is the lack of haptic feedback and targeting information during needle interventions and palpation of tissue borders and tissue differentiation in needle interventions. And this means also a high mental workload during the access. And our massive transformative purpose for this is to create a new perception in medicine and to develop a plug-and-play intraoperative feedback system to improve safety and cost efficiency of needle interventions. Our vision is to be the market leader for audio applications in the healthcare sector, and Surak is a system to make laparoscopic access more precise and safe by using proximal audio sensing. You will ask, how will this help the surgeon? So his pains is the difficult control, detection, and differentiation of tissue. And for this, we give him real-time feedback and improve control and the operation. He gains easy access for the guidance, he saves time, improve patient safety, and this will lead to less complications because we're providing him the border detection, tissue characterization, 360-degree guidance with audio feedback, and an automated detection of tissue changes. Also in future, we're thinking about to enter the robotic industries. Also here is a missing feedback system in robotic surgeries. For example, the return movement when the equipment is behind organs or in small cavities, and also difficult control, detection, and differentiation of tissues. Yeah, for this also real-time feedback, improved control in the operation, and a guidance through cavities and in tissue structures. Our promise to the surgeon is that we offer a plug-and-play feedback system that provides safety-relevant feedback in real time for the surgeon whose sense of touch is limited during minimal invasive procedures. And when you ask for the financial view of point, Surak supports clinics in saving time and costs, as well as improve quality by a cost-efficient plug-and-play feedback system that helps minimizing complications that occur during minimal invasive procedures. So now it's your turn, Moritz.
So I will guide you through the following slides. Throughout our design, our bio-design process, we continuously evaluated our state using the purpose launchpad methodology. So what you can see here is our very first purpose launchpad, which clearly shows that we need to introduce metrics. And this is basically what we did then. We introduced objective key results like getting ISO 13485 certification as one of the objective key results, acquire letter of interest from 5 key opinion leaders that are involved in setting the guidelines for laparoscopic procedures. And for example, the last one, building a clinical demonstrator which can be actually produced. Additionally, we set the ARRR metric, which measures how many people do we actually reach through our channels, to measure the rate how we can make marketing, for example. How many people also approach us after they visited our website, for example, and how many surgeons recommended us to their colleagues. After we introduced those metrics, we re-evaluated our state again, and the result was that we need to work on the product definition, and that meant in order to improve that point, we conducted a customer survey, including qualitative interviews and quantitative online survey that is designed to gather information from all stakeholders in the clinic. That means the clinical director, senior physician specialists and residents, also nurses who have to handle the device, and also the financial director, which will in the end decide if the product is bought or not, probably. This survey is still ongoing, since of course we want to interview as many stakeholders as possible to get a broad view of information. But the preliminary results, at least from the surgeons, is most complications in surgery can be handled, so they are not so we don't only have to focus on solving complications, we also have to focus on making the solution easy and quicker to use, to give the surgeon a better feeling during the surgery. And additionally, very interesting for the design and implementation of the feedback, they are not interested in feeling where exactly the needle tip is. They're interested in feedback related to their job to be done. So in case of laparoscopic access, is the needle in the cavity or not? Or was something hit? Based on the results, we created a minimum viable product. Second. So a very small sensor, which can easily be connected to the Veris needle in a few seconds, and can then be introduced into the patient's body and provides unambiguous feedback during this procedure to minimize complications and make the procedure more cost efficient. With this MVP, we conducted a customer experiment where surgeons and KOLs had to insert the needle into a phantom, one time with the Surak device, one time without, and afterwards we asked them if they recognized a tangible improvement by using our device, which feedback they would prefer, and if the provided feedback was helpful, and also what other aspects of the product we could improve. So after we worked on that, you can clearly see that we improved our product data point in the Purpose Launchpad. This is our last one now, which shows that we need to work on people, customer, and viability. So the next steps would be to continue on the team's education, to learn more skills, also in the business area. We have to improve the business model to make it more sustainable, and in order to prepare the first sales, we need to approach more key opinion leaders and find early adopters. Here you can see the evolvement of our Purpose Launchpad and what did we learn throughout this whole project. Tracking our progress is very important by using the metrics that we introduced, like OKRs, for example. It's very important to constantly involve the key opinion leaders and clinical partners to validate our assumptions and improve our prototypes. And for us as a team, but I think for every team, it's also very important to continuously evaluate the findings and also the progress we make throughout a project. So in this, saying this, I want to conclude by saying thank you for this interesting project. It was a really good cooperation between the clinical stakeholders and the engineers, and I think that's a very good basis for further innovation. Thanks.
Very good, very good. So thanks a lot. So yeah, it looks nice. I just a couple of little points. First, I would have loved to see really relatively early on what you are actually doing. What is your proposal? You know, you kind of like jumped into something. Now it's all clear to all of us what you're doing, but if you would present it to somebody else, it would be very difficult to follow. I know you've followed it up later on, but it was a little late. Holger, by the way, just so we don't do anything wrong in the future, a surgeon is not always he.
No, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But it was he, his, right?
Yeah.
So do it a little neutral in the future. That could also be female investors sitting there or people that are a little bit offended with that. So just as a little.
Yeah, we're just a little bit confused. I know what you mean, but we don't know, do we have to do a project report, how we improved, or should we make a real marketing? That's
no, it was all good. It was all good. I'm just saying that out right now, just so you learn something for the future. So just be a little bit aware that that could be something that people look for. Now, what I'm not missing, but what I'm first of all, I was missing a little bit the exo canvas. So to actually see what you are coming up to, I mean, you were starting with the abundance basically on a level and did not improve from there. So I'm not sure that you probably did one exo canvas and that was it. And but I would have just liked to see something on the abundance part, on the exo part. Maybe you can say something to that. And I would also obviously like to know what you are planning to do to improve the viabilities of the business model on that one. What are the steps you would take to actually find out whether there's really a business model behind it? So who wants to answer? Christoph is yawning, so he's not answering, but he's not part of the team anyway. So
for defining our business model, I think we need to draft one and then validate it continuously in cooperation with all stakeholders, not only the clinical ones, but also people who can produce it, who can distribute it.
Well, I think you need to first find out what is the value of what you provide. What is the value what is the amount of money, for example, that somebody would say that's worth?
Yeah, for this we have to calculate in real numbers and get in touch maybe with the financial department of the university clinic, who really orders stuff or who calculates timing and personal stuff, that we can get somehow an idea how this in real works. So what is the timing in the real OR setup? What are real time shifts by complications? What is the material effort? And when we get an idea of these real numbers, then we can maybe provide a real number or a real time what we can save for the clinic. And this is also based on our customer survey, that when we get an idea how, or also when the surgeons get an idea how they can handle it and how they can save material, time,
I think that's what you just mentioned. That is an incredibly important metrics. So this is the metric you also need to check, is like, what are the time savings you can obtain, because that they at the end of the day are part of the business model, right?
And I think
to have
idea we get out of our customer survey when we have this comprehensive test from with and without our device, and then we can get a step further to maybe calculate it up to the real OR setup.
Yeah. Okay. So anything on abundance you can still mention, Moritz?
No.
Anybody else in your team?
No.
I think it was a while ago that we did this exocanvas.
Okay. I just remember there is maybe like 3 questions on the exocanvas on there on the test later on. I don't think there's any actually, but I forgot. All right, so this is something you, I mean, maybe that's the only thing we can get out of this video we just saw. The value proposition canvas, the business model canvas, the OpenXN canvas, they work actually very well together if you just look at certain points, and just don't lose track of it. Okay, that's what I'm. Anybody else?
What could be an example for abundance in this case?
I think community and crowd would be really cool, because you have certain clinicians, if they really like it, key opinion leaders, they will probably be able to talk about it. You will be able to take advantage of it. I think what you are trying to do anyway is staff on demand, right? That you maybe do certain things that are being done outside. You have a certification regulatory expert that is working outside. You may want to do the manufacturing outside your own environment. So those are already key aspects. You are experimenting, so that's another feature. And experimentation doesn't mean technical experimentation. It means customer validation experiments. That means business model experiments. Also looking at different countries, that's also experimentation. So these are very, very important tasks. Interfaces would be something where you, and dashboard, sorry, it would be something where you measure the OR time, you know, where you basically collect this information, how many minutes have been saved. This would also be outside information that is very important to subsequently put into your business model and into your product. And I'm sure we find others as well. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
Oh.
Yes, Christoph is not only sleepy, but he's also attentive and has questions. Victoria's laughing. So, by the way, I'm drinking my first beer. So just so you know, it's a Hopfenzupfer. And it's not that good, Moritz. So
I saw already. Already seen
that you have to put it.
Yeah, I thought it was. It says it's a Pils, but it's way too malty for me. So, but I have another one which kind of like sounds interesting. Aufwind IPA. So see how this is.
Not bad. Cheers on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some questions for the Zurich team. So let's start with the easy ones. How much would approximately cost one device?
Sure.
It's in manufacturing, or
Depends on your premium account.
When I want to buy it, as a surgeon, as an investor, when I want to buy one.
it doesn't depend on our costs. Our costs would be low. It depends on the value that we can provide to the customer. And if the value is 100 euros, then it would be 100 euros, but we could sell it for much less, because the sensor, the material itself is like 5 euros, maybe even less. If you produce it in masses, and then you also have to calculate our development costs and stuff. But I would say 25 euros would be okay for us. But as I said, if we can sell it for 100, we will sell it for 100.
And you may actually have to look at different markets too. You know, maybe the US is pricier. You also need to include an insurance maybe, and there's additional cost to that. But the answer is the right one, is you need to find out what the value to the entire process is, and then determine what the pricing is. So
also for our veterinary approach and Also, it's depending on premium accounts and all the other stuff what we are providing by this.
The sorry, Chris, I want to jump in there, but a good question would have been like, what could be a business model look like? Is it a one-time sell? Is it a recurring revenue? How is the recurring revenue look like? What do you plan in the next 3 to 5 years to add on so you make the customer, you know, loyal to you, to stick with you? This is actually Maurice, what Christoph wanted to answer to ask. So.
We have a lock-in strategy. So one part of this
A lock-in strategy.
is reusable. So they buy the sensor one time in the beginning. One part will be reusable, the electronic part, and another part is single use. So you need to throw it after the procedure.
We have also environmental friendly concept.
But of course, this is environmental friendly material. But you constantly need to buy new housings basically for every procedure, and thereby we have a continuous revenue out of that.
That would be my next questions. Like, how often can you use it? That means like the main part, whereas the sensors included and everything, I can reuse and recycle and maybe use 100 times, 1,000 times.
Depending on the electronic parts that are in, yeah. You need to
Okay, so
the battery. You can reuse. We don't know yet. It depends.
okay.
We're working on
And what
a box where you can automatically load your systems, and by normal handling 50 to 100 times you can reuse it.
Realistic.
So the normal medical equipment reuse timings.
And what happens then after the use? Like Michael already was naming this, or you, Moritz, were naming this. Like, is it sustainable to the nature? Like,
they can ship it back to us, and we will refurbish whatever we can do, reuse it again, and sell it again.
As long as you don't dump it in the ocean, right?
No, of course not.
yeah, this brings me to my last question. Is that safe? I mean, if you refurbish it, and what will you do if the system fails in some cases, and you're hitting wrong tissue, so it gives out wrong information?
We have a rigorous quality management system. So without getting certified by ISO 13485, you cannot sell anything. So by this, it's ensured by the authorities that we have a quality assurance for refurbishing this. So this makes sure that no faulty products get to the customer. If the system fails, right now, the only thing that can happen, if it doesn't work at all, one option, it doesn't work at all, then the needle is introduced as it is introduced right now without the system. No problem. If it gives the wrong feedback, it can be a problem, but since the surgeon has still his own tactile feedback while introducing, it's a limited risk, I would say.
Yeah, but maybe with your technique, you know, the surgeon may won't do this anymore. Maybe the nurse will do it in the future because it's so easy with your system.
We will write it in the manual that this is not a replacement
Okay.
or proper.
What is wrong with that?
Sorry?
What is wrong with that?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything.
Have insurance and stuff. I mean, it will happen probably that it fails. Really.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. This was all my roasting.
Anybody else have any? Anna, do you have anything? I know you have a burning question on your face. No? No? Okay, Rujucha, you have anything? Come on, guys. All right, but Beatrice, she always has something.
Not today.
Well, you do or you don't? No? All right. Okay, guys, I think I see all of you are tired and all of you are just, you know, so eager to want to go to the test. I know you're just the utmost. You were waiting for that the entire time for this really difficult process. So let's jump to the next one. Thank you very much one more time, Surak. I hope it was something that helped you, at least, you know, from a thinking process. So let's go to the Exobot. Who wants to present? Beatrice, or who is presenting?
We do a split presentation. I
Oh,
think
who wants to start? Because then do I have the control back? No, I
Anna
don't.
need the host, and you have the control back.
I have the control back. Okay, fine. So who
And
wants to
Anna
start?
need the host. Anna need the host.
Share screen.
Okay, Anna.
Okay.
All right. Oh,
Yeah.
Beatrice is now the host. Who's now the host? I don't get it.
I think Anna needs to be the host, right?
Okay. So Beatrice, you need to make Anna the host then.
okay.
So Anna.
Okay, a moment.
Okay.
So Anna, I think you remember when to slide, right?
More or less.
Okay. All right, so I will start. So welcome to the presentation. So we decided to start with a story. And this is the story of Jack. And Jack is a young guy. He's very smart. He's very peaceful. But behind his smile, he's hiding sufferance and pain due to his medical condition. Some month ago, he had an accident and he lost the ability to move his lower limbs. And from that day, he's using a wheelchair to move around. So Jack goes 3 times a week to a physiotherapist where he does his rehabilitation. But so far, nothing changed. And he has just small progresses, and the cost of the rehabilitation are very high and mostly not covered or reimbursed by the health insurance. So this is not just the story of Jack, but the story of many other patients that are affected by musculoskeletal disorders, and they suffer for tendinitis, bone fracture, uh, osteoarthritis, and this patient needs help. So we as a team, we decided to work very hard to find a solution. And today we are happy to present Exobot, the latest technology supporting and enhancing physical motion beyond human limits. So Exobot is an exoskeleton that is supported by a mobile application to assist and to rehabilitate musculoskeletal disabilities. Also, our mission is to enable the disabled in order to accomplish our vision by becoming the latest technology, supporting and enhancing physical motion, so empowering the motion. So we have several questions. So for example, how Exobot works, how can we solve the pain of our customer, or which are the gains that our customer will achieve by adopting Exobot. And with a blue ocean strategy, we aim to develop a product that opens a new market by creating new demands at an unbeatable price.
So according to the medical regulations, FDA has already approved electrical stimulators for used in treating medical conditions. And since our Exobot is a non-invasive method of therapy and treatment, it falls in class 2B. Next slide. So here are some features of our Exobot. Exobot would actually have on itself integrated stimulators, which would exactly replicate the action potential of the central nervous system. And this could be also personalized with respect to each patient, and it could use the features as per the patient history.
We worked out some exo attributes to go on an exponential road with our product. So for example, on the external attribute side, we choose or we aim to implement engagement. This is the most obvious because we are using this gameful, playful app, but we also kind of using leveraged assets because we are not building our Exobot or exoskeleton by ourselves. We will just buy Exobots from existing companies. So we don't have the risks of the development and all the costs of this part. On the internal exo attributes, we will use, of course, experimentation. So we will provide MVPs, minimal viable prototypes, to our customer segment, customer group, but also to other potential customers, so they can try it out and give us their feedback, and we can implement improvements to our product. And we will also use social technologies. So the Exobot app has some feedback function. So our customer group will keep us updated. We worked out a business model canvas, and for example, for key partners, we have the customers, which are patients with musculoskeletal disorders, and who will be the end users of the product. And we have the health insurance companies who will be the purchasers of the product and will then provide them to the patients. For our key activities, we have all the creative part. So we are implementing improvements, implementing updates. We are in contact with the clients, and we use social media to reach out to other potential clients. Our key resources are our technological know-how, our human interaction, and our financial budget. For the relationships, we aim to have a customer personal assistant, also a mobile telematic assistant, and we want to integrate a community feature to our app. We will reach out through healthcare providers mainly, so they will introduce their insured to the Exobot in case they see the need, and also the social media and public events. For the costs, we have to pay for the advertisement, we have to pay the Exobots, and of course the application development. And we will generate money by a monthly subscription of the app and partly by the Exobot. Yes, and when it comes to values and customer, I will go to it in more detail on the next slide. So as we defined our two main customers, the health insurances and musculoskeletal disorder patients, we prepared value propositions canvases for both of them. So for the health insurances, their job is basically to generate money, and they do so by get monthly payment by the insured and attract new insureds. The problem, especially with rehabilitation patients, is that the treatment consumes a lot of time. Patients that have a serious condition, are unemployed, cannot pay their insurance, and physiotherapy is as well expensive. And our product promises fast recovery, no expensive for physiotherapy, equipment and location, and no expenses for the physiotherapist itself. The gains of the healthcare insurance companies are saving money, attract new customers, quick recovery, efficient treatment, and better treatment planning. And with the Exobot, we can provide them no personal costs and could be rented, as well as it's an attractive service, so they would attract more people that want to be insured in this company. The gains of the patients are if they recover fast, if they have a good support during the necessary training, and we promise them a restoration of nervous functions by the muscular stimulation, gradual movement range extension, customized physical load, accelerated muscle building. And their pains are that the recovery is lengthy, that they not always have the chance to recover, and they often, due to psychological problems, have no motivation to do the training. And with the Exobot, we guarantee them correct execution and monitoring of the body movements. They can train anywhere and anytime, so they can choose a time when they're motivated. And through the Exobot app community, they also have psychological support, and through the personal avatar.
Yes, so let me say a couple of words for the revenue and reimbursement. As we mentioned before, we have the basic exoskeleton, which costs around 2,000 to 4,000 euro for the basic model, which we will buy from a retailer, from another company. So then we will have our own additional cost for sensors and effectors, and of course the work to put it on, the basic exoskeleton, which will be around about 1,000 euros. And the one-time cost for the app development, just for the first development, not for the further upgrades, will cost around about 7,000 euros per operating system, means iOS or Android, for example. And then here we have our revenue cycle, where we at first give access to the patient, then see how to manage their cases. Therefore, we have clinical documentation of this, which will be computed into medical coding. And this gives us charges and reimbursement. And afterwards, of course, this cycle will float not just one time, it will float continuously. Then we will have claims, which we need to manage again. And then with our managed claims, we go again to the patient actions, and we follow the cycle, so on and so far. Yep. So, and there we also have, because we don't have an Exobot ready, here we have on our minimal valuable product, so which shows you in this nice cartoon how the Exobot can work. Please click start. Thank you. And sound. Yep.
Where's kein Sound?
Moritz need to mute. Thank you.
Hat noch jemand Ton an?
And if it doesn't work, I can also play it from my computer. I have the presentation here.
Try one more time, Anna. The sound? No.
Okay, how about now? Someone's still there.
Okay, Anna, just give me shortly the rights, and I'll play the video.
Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah. Need to make me host. Need to make me host. Need to make me host.
No.
She's working.
Okay. Do you hear?
But we don't see.
Oh. See, I'm just as stupid as everybody else here. Let's try one more time. I need to make the whole desktop. Now I know. Okay. Do you see it now?
Yep.
Yeah.
And do you hear it? Yep.
Hello, today we will work on your leg muscles and coordination. Please put on the exoskeleton and press start to get started. Our first exercise are squats. Bend your knees and go down as if you sit down on a chair. You're bent too far forward. Keep your back straight. That's better. Go on with your next squat. That's it for today. Press statistics to see your weekly progress.
Thank you very much, Michael.
So
Can you go to the next slide, please? Then?
Yeah, I'll do this right here. Okay.
Super. So at first you can see by 17th of December last year, we found a good way of purpose, had a little idea about the customer and the processes, but we were really in our beginning stage. What you're doing, Michael?
I'm just
Are you
yeah,
making...
so.
Okay. So then on the 2nd of January, we had more idea about the people and also our purpose raised next to the abundance, and the process kept itself. Then we had a big jump to from the 29th of January this year, and actually it also stayed the result like this for our last assessment, which we just took yesterday, where we have a good impact and purpose and people. But we definitely need more to work on customers, like, for example, get in touch with the special customers. And the metrics, of course, it's a big thing if you don't have any product that you can present, or if you just can present the idea. So yeah, that's why for the last 2 canvases, we stayed more or less where we were. So then, yeah, on the last slide, we just want to say thank you for your attention. And yeah, now it's time for questions and answers.
Very good. Thank you very much. So I liked it a lot. I liked also the video a lot. I think I did a really nice job on this one. Obviously, you saw that sustainability is also a question here. So the business model is still something to work on. The metrics also, but metrics in this respect, you can also use, for example, customer interviews or interviews with physicians. That's also a metric, right? It's also something you want to get done. There are different metrics for the different parts. So for the validation, it's a different story than for the implementation. I do have a couple of questions. First of all, why are you not considering algorithms and interfaces as in the exponential attributes? I mean, this is obviously something that uses AI and uses algorithms for the gamification part for other segments. So I believe that algorithms is definitely included in your proposal. The same thing is with the interfaces. Social media. To a certain extent, also the interface generation, how many people use it, what is their progress report? Yeah, the progress report itself, the gamification part, that is an interface you have to the car. You see the usage of it. So I thought that you actually have more than you put down. And I also wanted to know, yeah, what would be the next steps to actually come up with more information on abundance and sustainability? How would you figure this out?
So
maybe as a quick follow-up question on top of that is, so you have a recurring income too, right, over the software? Is that right? Did I understand this right?
Yep. To the point of sustainability, I think we can say that the Exobot is made of material that also can be recycled. And
I did say sustainability. I made more like viability. So maybe maybe this is the wrong word. So viability. So the business viability.
I think we can gather a lot of information if we build an actual hardware plus software viable, minimal viable prototype. So we have more realistic ideas about the costs of the Exobot. And also what would be important is to find out how much money, like there is a lot of money spent on physiotherapy, but it would be also important to know exactly how much. And like what is the gap between that and how can we profit from this gap?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so research on that.
Okay, so if I give you
also with
go ahead.
And also with developing and further developing of the Exobot itself and upgrading it to different versions and models, we will have always this revenue income and recharge. And also then we will change cost structures. And yeah, of course, we just can develop it if we have a prototype that we can use on patients or subjects, that we get feedback to get better and create also more money then through the process.
So I think I said that last time. I give you 10,000 euros. So do I get an Exabot with an iOS smartphone app?
After development phase, we said this also last week. Like this is the accomplished price, or this is the price that's taken once it's developed. So for the first prototype, it needs more money.
Why? You just said that the iOS development is 7,000. That's a one-time expense, right? So 7,000. Then you have to buy an Exabot for 2,000, 9,000. And so how much money do you need to actually make this happen? So we have a really a minimal viable prototype.
I think 20,000.
So I give you 20,000. I have one ready.
I would say 50. I would say 50.
Yeah, but you have
50
to
because
get it large. You don't know, you know. I mean, I would say to be around 20,000, you get the first minimal viable.
Okay, well, think about it. I'll give you 20,000 if I have an Exabot later on. That works.
Yeah, but we have to also take into account that things might not go the way we want. And
I give you 20,000.
So that's why it would take a bigger amount for the first prototype, because always things will occur that you didn't see before, and then you have to correct things. And also we have to pay ourselves. We're not doing this for free of charge.
Oh, right. But no, by Beatrice and Christoph and whoever was like, come up with a number and stick to it, you know. And at the end of the day, I believe it's not that difficult to find somebody, a business angel, something who gives you like 20 to 40, 50,000 euros to build it.
Yeah, the guy from Munevo, Cristiano, he also said that Claudio, yeah. He said that he has some contacts in Munich, and if we do the presentation a little bit better than we presented to him, he would forward us.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Yeah, I think it's always opportunities, you know, and why not take advantage of this? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but I think that would be better to get in touch first more with the community, or maybe directly with a patient, you know, because this is really the real first minimum viable product. I think we need to discover a bit more our clients before to present to an investor, you know.
No, it's not. This is way before investors. Something called pre-seed. So you basically give money to actually get something started off the ground and to get more information. So this is expensive money to a certain extent, but it's actually bringing you a significant step further. Now, one quick question. I was a little confused to put you through out. There was a market of 200 billion. How do you come up with that?
This is your Chris.
Yeah, it was not a quick it was not a calculation. I just thought, because worldwide use, so I see definitely a high market, and then I just thought, I mean, this was not calculated. I just wanted to reach a high number because at first this is interesting for the investor, and as you see, the whole world is a market, so you easily probably can scale up higher.
But I think if you have something like $1 billion or 2 is probably okay too. We don't need to jump a couple of digits more than that. But
we have abundance, so we think
be aware of the fact that the only thing that these guys, that if you present it, can actually judge is markets. So this is the thing you have to be careful. Technology, they typically cannot judge very much. They just rely on you. But if you throw out a number, you need to have at least an argument or an idea of where the number comes from, because that's what they know. And if you are really like leaving the impression as you make things up and you exaggerate, then you lose credibility. So just as a comment. Okay. Any other questions from the Team Surak? Team Surak has no questions.
Yeah, there is a question.
Ja,
hier ist das Mikrofon.
Okay, Christoph, can you hear me?
Ja, ich kann dich hören.
Funktioniert doch, da kannst du stehen.
Okay, who pay for the Exabot? Only the patient in whole?
No, this was written already in the, I think, the BMC, Anna. It's our main customer are the health insurance companies and health delivery companies. Okay. That they use it and give it to their customers.
And would they rent it from you or buy it from you?
The first main idea was that they buy it from us and they rent it to the customers.
You don't make money from the customers. I think the better idea would be if you rent it to the health insurance companies. But you need to see what is the goal is to also have a training effect, right? Have something where the patients learn new treats and can recover, right? I would actually think maybe even a little more exponential and would think about why don't we make it, I get 10,000 euros when the patient can walk again, or 20,000 or 50,000 or whatever.
Yeah, that would be an idea, because we based the product on the outcome. So
that would be a good idea if you base it on actually patient outcome, and because then you can say the health insurance company can save dramatic amounts of cost because they don't have to pay for the home care anymore and whatever, all the other things that are associated with it. Just say, if the patient can walk again or can do this and this again, then you'll pay us 50,000 euros. It's a completely new idea.
yeah, but then we need to be sure that the Exobot works. Otherwise, we are gonna lose something, you know, as a company. If it's not working, we just give without getting back.
But that's a risk. But that's maybe also a way to get the market, you know, and to maybe get attraction. Maybe,
I mean, this can be an idea, but once we establish that the product works, otherwise, it's not.
but if the product works, that's also a risk. If the product works, then people don't want to give you that anymore. They rather want to pay for it a lower amount. But this is obviously it's always the trade back of the whole thing. Once people know the results, they're not willing to do it anymore. All right. So.
And your company goes to the patient and say to them what they must do, or only the app is the only motivation for training? On the app? Oh God.
There's different kinds of motivation. I mean, at first you want to get healthy again. You want to walk again.
Oh no. Okay, you must talk with patients. They have that's the important thing of physical therapy. That's not only the therapy. That's a person who come to the patient and do more than say what they're training. And I think it can be that the Exobot is was weiß ich, Sportgerät, and they have ja, was weiß ich. Yeah. I think the app is not enough to motivate the patient, you know. They are depressed, they have this sickness all time of their life, and you must do more than an app.
Also from my side, I think for the Exobot as a training device or as a training support, it is just like when you do it with a physiotherapist, it is more like a mobilization. I think for a real training effect, it is more than just a movement. Yeah, you have a stimulus to the nerves, you have a stimulus to the muscles, you have a complete system from the brain to the really end of your nerves. So I don't think that when you sit in something like an Exobot and he will do a movement or support a movement, that the effect for your body is that high. I don't know, because there are a lot of, I think the application of an Exobot is a good idea for maybe different areas, maybe to support people with multiple sclerosis or to support people in delivery centers with heavy loads or something like this. But I think when you have when you have a cut in your nerves and you have to train there, then it's much more complicated in the physiology with training and interconnectivity of the individual physiological systems in your body. Yeah.
Anybody from the team wants to answer? I don't want to tell all the time.
You probably
Can
don't.
I say something a bit? So we're answering, huh?
Go on, Beatrice, go on.
So answering to Victoria first, motivation. So when you create a product, at least in our case, we wanted to target one thing, one problem to solve. And this first problem was the movement, you know? I cannot target 300 problems that a person has, right? So our first focus was to improve the primary problem that this patient have, so is the motion. And as a secondary outcome, if you don't move, of course you are depressed, but this is not the primary problem we are targeting. That's the reason why we excluded also obese patient. Also obese has motor disabilities, but this is not the first problem they have. The first problem they have is eating disorder that must be treated as first, and then the second comes. So the app maybe is not an app for changing your humor, you know, is an app that is built for improving and guiding you to improve your motor activity. When you apply yourself with the app constantly and you see results, the mood changes as well. And the reason why also we use a gamification also, avatar, to make a bit more playful this app. It's not giving you order, it's playing with you. So I think that when you solve the problem of the movement, the mood changes well as a second thing. And answering to I hope I was able to answer your question. At least this is just my point of view. The second question was if the Exobot is able somehow to improve damages, the nervous system and blah, blah, blah. So, of course, we are building just a first prototype. We are still understanding also the physiology of our patient. Our goal is not to build muscles because we know, I mean, I'm in sport as well, so you don't improve your body physique with the stimulation for sure, because this is another process. But to reactivate injured muscle, you can use several types of stimulation. And also we were talking last week with the team Exobot that we searched and we found a lot of type of stimulation that can be released to target specific type of problems. And then I think the Exobot can be used to support. Then, of course, we need more experiments. We need to understand more the physiology. But yeah, I mean, I think we were able to improve our products from the beginning, targeting better the problem we are trying to solve. Another reason why we remove the neuromotor disorders, because these are long things to say, but I mean, it's different when the problem comes from the brain or when the problem comes from the lower body. It depends where the lesion is. And in that way, the stimulation works or doesn't work. That's the reason why we try to have a more simple customer segment to target, that maybe we can solve the problems. Anyway, I can be wrong for sure, because there is a lot to study behind this. And we know that medicine, you can study, but you never always know the output. So that's the reason why Exobot is a beginning of our studies. And we need to get in touch more with maybe the medical field and the patient to understand better which functionality of the Exobot can be feasible to use.
I'm really sorry I started something which I should have not started.
No worries. Yeah, also I wanted to thank you, Victoria, and thank you, Holger, for your questions. I think Victoria's question was quite good answered by Bea, and for Holger, I just wanted to add, we had this idea of applying it for the training sector, and even with TMS on the brain, we activate motor neurons and in the arm and everywhere. The field is wide. But what also especially our first customer talk was telling us, we should specialize on one segment. We shouldn't do everything at once, we should specialize, and then we can upgrade to other things. So we had all of those ideas. Yeah, thank you for those input.
Yeah, but this was what I want to hear, because things like TMS or EMS for the stimulation of the right things is then important to have then a real effect for paralyzed limbs or for a real recovery of the problem. Because otherwise, if you have a real problem and you are disabled somehow in your movement, you have just a movement from outside with the exobot, and therefore you have other applications where it's more sensible. That was the only thing what I...
Yeah.
Maybe I can also comment on this. I have a quite interesting story. There's a YouTube video on about a neurosurgeon who is paralyzed. So a paralyzed person who studied medicine and then got into surgery, into neurosurgery, and he also uses kind of these exobot devices, but more in a simple way. So just supporting the movements. But with this device, he's now able to perform operations at the brain, it's human brain and spinal cord. And yeah, I think that the story is quite suitable here and quite impressive.
For sure. Thank you for sharing.
All developments. Okay, any more questions?
You tell something about save money because therapy is expensive, the physical therapy. You know that the patient is zuzahlungsbefreit if he have a disease. So
it's not about the patient, it's more for the health insurance company. They have to pay much more for the physiotherapist, for the place where the therapist is housed. Then it's just special times. Exobot is always available.
And it goes for all your life. You may never see an improvement, you know, so they have to pay for the rest of the life, maybe for some of the patients, right?
Mm. I don't know of the cost of the health insurance. Okay. Mm.
Yeah, but you also look at, this is actually something that I ask you to at least to think of, is what does the situation in India look like? Just as an idea. What is it there?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then that's a completely different story then. If you think in terms of different geographies as well.
Availability of physiotherapists, you mean?
Yeah, just also, you know, you get support in you may have family support in these countries where you don't have any family support here, or you know, or just also reimbursement issues, or actually the value of this device. You know, it may be completely different. So, no more questions. Morris is playing with his cell phone all the time. I see this.
No, he makes notes on the comments for our presentation.
Blah blah blah. Yeah, right. Okay, guys. So thank you very much for the presentation. I'm very happy. So I thought it was really cool. I hope you were somewhat happy with it too. Also with the results. I know it's always a shitty time on a Friday in the evening. So I always see in your faces too that you're damn happy when it's over. Then at some point in time, I understand. So let's you know, give ourselves an applause. I think that's always important. You know, you basically say, "Well, bravo, we did this well. You finished it up." So I'm happy too. I have to just maybe do some. I'm going to turn the